I went and bought a gun. My husband bought a gun. We feared for our lives. I was stalked by a police officer. I had been recently married and we were going to have our first kid. We were going to move closer to my husband's family because we needed some help for like babysitting and stuff. And that's whenever the stalking started. I don't even remember what the first email said, but it was like a cat call. The emails started out just those few. And then eventually it became where it was like every day from the same email address. This lasted for 3.5 years. The more that I ignored him and the more that I didn't reply at all made him mad and made him want to like amp up what he was doing. He said, send me pictures of yourself, and that he would send me money. Eventually they got to where he was talking about his fantasy of breaking into my house and tying me up and raping me. He literally used the term, and you'll moan and scream and you probably won't really like it. Went and bought a gun. My husband bought a gun and we stored it in our houses. We were carrying them with us. We feared for our lives. We feared for our children's lives. I filed several police reports during that time. The police were not helping me at all. They told me that they couldn't do anything about it unless they had a name. It was debilitating. We never went anywhere. My kids couldn't play outside unless my husband was home, and then we were still worried because we didn't know what this anonymous person's mentality was. It got to the point where I felt like my family would be better off if I was not alive. I nearly took my life. I had to go on medication. I had to go to therapy for over a year. My relationships were affected. I didn't trust anyone. I had totally stopped posting on every social media account, set everything to private, and I deleted my email account. I didn't hear from him until the end of November. I had received a letter to my P.O. box. The letter said, why won't you just send me these pictures? What's it gonna hurt? It was written out to say it was from someone you know. And the return address was one of my old apartments that I had lived in like probably 6 years prior to that. I was like, how would anybody know that information? I barely remembered that address, so I just felt like this person's either been watching me for a really long time, or it was someone who had access to legal systems like a police officer. In that moment, it just clicked in my brain. I was probably about 20 years old. I met Mark. I actually worked at his family's gas station, and he was an Arkansas State police officer. My gut was telling me it's definitely him. There's nobody else that it could be. I went to the police. I said, I'm 99.9% sure that it's him. A couple more days later, when he was asked, he confessed. So they went back through the police database. They looked up how many times he had searched my name, and it was like 18 times that he had searched my name for no reason. He had searched my husband's name, my mom, my sister, my in-laws, and all of our vehicles. He resigned from the police department. He was finally convicted of 10 years. I think he served like 16 months. I did get an order of protection after he was released. I was scared for my life. I thought that he was going to come for me, but he didn't, thankfully. I'm definitely more safe and maybe a little bit paranoid, but not as bad as I was. I don't feel the need to do a sweep of the house with a gun every time I walk through the door. I am seen, are you?